Happy Saturday, and welcome to the Ram Ashram Satsang Weekend Workshop, where you'll learn a modern Satsang method for obtaining peace, light, and love in your life. My name is Eddie, and I will be introducing the facilitator for today's event. But first, I'd like to give you a brief overview of this Satsang session. If you direct your attention towards your screen, you'll see the first element is Satsang. Satsang is a scientific method whereby we may obtain peace, light, and love in our life. It requires no physical skill, spiritual accomplishment, or meditation experience to begin its practice. Satsang consists of two words, Sat and Sang. Sat means positive energy, and Sang means to be with or to be in the presence of. Therefore, the word Satsang means to be in the presence of positive energy. The next element is meditation. Meditation is an important part of Satsang. When we meditate, we will draw consciousness from worldly objects and direct it inwards to focus on a single thought. In doing so, our minds become calm and our thoughts become pure, thereby allowing us to obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. Inner orientation. There are two types of Satsang, inner Satsang and outer Satsang. An example of outer Satsang would be chanting or attending pilgrimages. When we practice outer Satsang, we have the potential to change our behavior, but only through the practice of inner Satsang can we obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. The Satsang that you will learn today is an inner Satsang where we meditate in silence. Group session. These weekend workshops are structured for group participation. When we meditate as a group, our focus is improved and our personal progress along our spiritual path is expedited. By regularly attending these weekend workshops, the benefits of group participation are amplified. Joy and inner happiness. All beings wish to experience joy. Joy is the eternal longing of the soul. But only through the practice of inner Satsang can we obtain a joyous state. Each time we practice Satsang, our inner happiness gradually increases, ultimately culminating in a state of joy, which we experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The agenda for today consists of 3 sessions: the informative session, the practice session, and the interactive session. During the informative session, you'll receive a lecture about a Satsang topic, the founder, or some relevant spiritual topic. During the practice session, you'll receive instructions on how to meditate, followed by a period of practice. During the interactive session, you have the opportunity to ask questions, or there'll be a panel discussion. And now, I'd like to introduce the facilitator for today's event. He has over 40 years of Satsang experience. He's the grandson of Guru Maharaj, the founder of Ram Ashram Satsang. He was born into a Satsang family where he experienced his family members obtain states of enlightenment and lead lives of peace, light, and love. At an early age, he began traveling with the mission throughout India, facilitating satsangs. And during that time, he witnessed the positive effects that satsang could have on mankind. And upon arriving to the United States, both he and his wife continued to facilitate satsangs for local satsangees. He has led teams of satsang members in translating important satsang literature into English, and has worked tirelessly to make satsang more accessible to Western and English-speaking audiences. He currently travels throughout the United States, India, and England, facilitating satsangs while maintaining his duties as a husband, a father, and an IT executive. Today, he will teach us a rare and ancient form of satsang as taught by Guru Maharaj. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sanjeev Kumarji.
So happy Saturday, everyone. Glad that we all are here in Satsang. Um, so, every time I hear Eddie, and thanks, Eddie, for, uh, setting the stage with the overview. But when he talks about like stuff that has been done, I always feel guilty. And as I was talking in the prior weeks and prior sessions, for last few weeks, I'm actually finally getting to, um, really um, go into what should be the beginner resources and create a community which really would help people not only learn from each other, but uh, see what was done by the leaders, Guru Maharaj and people who uh, kind of continued this process of sharing um, the way in which um, I almost feel like a sure shot way of getting to inner peace. Um, so the intention now is to even beef up these sessions in terms of content and and also create this community and restart the whole. Last year we did a lot of work on the YouTube channel. Now I want to go back to that, um, and probably have a newsletter which would highlight some of the videos and what concepts they're bringing and how that applies into our practice. Um, Essentially, the goal should be that we not just meditate, we actually integrate into our lifestyle. Um, and in that process, um, create a whole lifestyle which is almost even keel. It's, doesn't, the oscillation between the lows and highs should reduce. And in one of the videos I talked about, like I heard in one of the sessions I attended, FIR, the frequency, the intensity, and the recovery times of these oscillations, which we, feel low, then feel high, and it just keeps going up and down. And that not only disturbs us, it also disturbs our practice and our meditations. So the frequency in which these ups and downs happen, the intensity of those, as well as the recovery times, all should reduce. Last year, I did a talk on inner peace. So I wanted to kind of, go back, revisit that. So Yuan, if you could share that slide on inner peace, that'll just become the backdrop for what we're trying to discuss today. So essentially, in one of his conversations with someone, when they asked like what Guru Maharaj believed in, he said that he believes in, himself achieving an ocean of peace, and he feels that ought to be the duty of every human being. And I think if I look at what he did, what he promoted and supported, was once you achieve that, then sharing that state, through various means, so he traveled, he wrote, he actually set up a press, he set up a journal in India, which still runs. And he wrote so many books because he said that, these things are sometimes like common sense, which is so uncommon. It's stuff that, there's so many confusions that somehow, somewhere they just, so just pursuit of peace. And even like you Google like meditation, and I was just trying to find like how many types of meditation, and somebody says it's 23, somebody says it's 8, somebody, and I think that is another topic that I want to really go deep into, not just because it will help people who follow this practice, but I feel that understanding the nuances and, Guru Maharaj described basically 3 categories in which these systems fit, just describing that in detail, and where this fits in. But as Eddie always talks about, like, this is inner satsang. So peace is all inside, it's within. And I had in my talk, I had this, I actually have a visual in my head, which is hard to, describe, or hard. I tried some, I worked with some graphic designers to put that into paper, but it didn't happen. So this was like, I was sitting with one of my seniors at work, and there was a contentious meeting, and he knew that, and I had prepped him. And so after listening to both sides for a little bit, he stepped back and said, if you were going on 95 South from here, Washington, D.C., at 100 miles an hour, would you ever get to New York? Because for that, you need to get to 95 North from here. And it was like startling. It's just like, I felt I almost feel that when it comes to peace, searching for peace, what it is, where it is, how to achieve it, I think we're just going a 95 South at the fastest pace possible. That's so it's so if we are trying to find peace, especially like deep, consistent, sustainable peace in the world, when we all know world keeps changing. I mean, you take even the most permanent thing, it's actually temporary. So it's just, change is inherent characteristics of the world. So, if you will try to use your 5 senses, which are somehow designed, programmed, and culturally just, the 5 senses are working outwards towards the world. And somehow we want happiness, joy, and peace through that process. And we are getting old. But peace seems to be elusive. Why? Because if you are going to search for something where it is not, how would you find it is the question. So to find inner peace, so peace is all inside, it is within, so let's call it inner peace. And to find inner peace, look inwards, and hence do inner satsang, which is inward oriented process. So there are, and actually Eddie refers to that, but there are, lot of activities which are also called satsang, so outer satsang essentially. But this process is about not just going inwards. And interestingly, I was reading a story around some of these concepts, and so if we look at a turtle, it has a hard hat, and so when he's there is that ability to pull all his feet and into under this hard hat. So basically, that is the process through which you look inwards. It's like you just, turn your entire focus, attention inwards. And that's what we do here. And so before we practice, the final point here is that the easiest way to find peace is to find a place where peace is intrinsic, like satsang, guru who is at peace, or anyone who has risen himself or herself to embody the transcendental energy. And I have basically, at least I can say that convincingly, that I have seen people achieve that state. And that is why in my book, in my experience, love, light, and peace have a completely different meaning. It's somebody who embodies that. To me, those are the people who embody the transcendental energy. Light is that wisdom that needs to dawn on you through these practices. In that wisdom, then you find, then it dispels some of the ignorance, which then allows you to look inwards in a way that interestingly, looking inwards and reflecting and contemplating and all that actually leads you to see that you are one with everything around you. Your consciousness is no different than anybody else's consciousness. And you are so all conscious beings, you then start connecting with in ways that you had never felt before. Once you get to that stage, so that wisdom leads to that joy or love, because love is nothing but when you meet, it's like you feel integral with things around you, the environment, the nature, the other conscious beings. Your joy multiplies. And that's when, the peace that we are talking about here is attained. All right. So, I was actually in a session this morning near Delhi. There was a big event that's happening right now. So I joined through, the same way, online, like joining this session. Instead of Zoom, that's WebEx though. But anyway, so I was talking about some things that, Guru Maharaj has talked about. And one of the topics was that, you can keep talking about sleep. You can write about sleep. You can think about sleep, but that's not going to give you, the relaxation and the refreshed state that sleep actually provides. The same thing is meditation and any spiritual pursuit. You keep talking about it, like I am right now. You can keep writing about it. You can keep listening, but that's not going to cut it. It's the experience. It's going to, into this quiet state where you're looking inwards, where you are getting into this deep meditative state where the thoughts waves, which actually bother us. If you try to be quiet, the thought waves, literally, you can see how they're, behaving and how they are sometimes like the inner world gets so much in a upheaval. We want to quieten that down if we really want to have, lasting inner peace. So let's practice that. So Guru Maharaj learned that from his guru. He basically, I read about exactly all the events and things that took place. And when I look at this process, what he actually did was exactly those things that he had experienced. He has like packaged it in a way that we all can pursue exactly the same process collectively. Obviously, the experience, the books he wrote, the discourses and all that were like just to say, hey, you can achieve this. And I did that. And then I see one of the reasons why I am so convinced that this is something to pursue, because I've seen this work, but then I have also seen it works for a very small. So, I mean, you calm down, you can soak up and embody this transcendental energy, which helps concentration, health, and so on and so forth. All that, I think we all can achieve if we practice this, and even if it is not that consistent practice. But to achieve a higher conscious state, achieve this love, light, and peace that they were just talking about, that requires some, I would say, that would require time and effort and guidance. But anyway, let's get into it. So whatever peace we can get, I sometimes feel it's a blessing. So inward orientation, two key things about that. Most of us know that, sitting in a still posture and eyes lightly closed. So a still and relaxed posture helps us when we're not moving our body, the mind doesn't move. So we want to do that. We want to reduce the distractions of our mind. And eyes lightly closed for the same reason. The sensory input, definitely distracts. Then what do we do? So that's next step, dharana or concentration. So we want to manifest this transcendental energy. And I mentioned this, you can take any source of energy that and it's not about visualization, and that I have also, it's like consciousness. It's should be a conscious source of this energy. We need to connect. We need to feel the presence. And it needs to be effortless. Like, I am here. I see everything in this room because there is light. So light is there. So we don't have to visualize. There is nothing If something is absent, then you feel the presence. But because we are so inundated with other things, we don't feel it. That's all. So just the attention has to be brought to this feeling and connection with this transcendental energy, which is right here, right now with us. And it's there in form of light. And this light is entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we're becoming completely and totally immersed in this light. So that is our, if there is anything to do, if there is any activity here, is this manifestation. So eyes lightly closed, still posture, and we're trying to manifest this transcendental energy in form of light. This light is entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we're becoming one with this light. We're getting totally immersed in it. If mind wanders away, which it will, just bring it back to this thought and this thought alone. If you do chanting, if you do other things, you do mindfulness, do it before or after. And Guru Maharaj used to say most of the other practices will get better with this deep meditation on transcendental energy. So we will start with music. The music helps this concentration and manifestation. And the goal is that we get into deep, silent meditation where we forget who we are, where we are, what we were doing, because the whole discussion before, meditation is not that I know something so special. No, it's just that we want to get the attention to this process so that when you get into it, there is no what I was doing before, what I have to do later, all that, just completely focused on this connection with the transcendental energy, observing this transcendental energy, embodying it in a way that it changes our inside. So one quick repeat that: still, relaxed posture, eyes lightly closed. Feel the presence of this transcendental energy in form of light that's entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we're becoming one with this light. We'll start with music. Music fades away. You go into deep meditation, and then we'll transition out with music. Let's start now. So today, this question comes up again and again that, how do I handle my monkey mind during the meditation? Um, and we have seen this before. Panditji Maharaj, one of my Guru Maharaj followers, my mentor in many ways, um, he actually wrote a book, Self-Realization, A Journey. And one of the chapters was about the monkey mind, why we cannot concentrate. So in the tips on how to help your concentration, so he actually, I think, put a letter from my grandfather's guru that how so somebody wrote to him and he replied back that, when I sit with you all, I meditate better. That's what, so, and here we have talked about several times how the collective group session really helps the practice. I personally feel that my practice, which is, was born into satsang, and then, you don't practice till 16 because Guru Maharaj used to say your mind is still developing. So after 16, you take this deep meditation approach. And I learned from Panditji Maharaj, and he, basically, traveled. So instead of like running away from things, he was like with people, but in this context of satsang, where you all, everybody's trying to embody the transcendental energy, and then that has a multiplier effect. And I have seen that personally, I think I have really experienced when I sit alone versus in a session like this versus when there are thousands of people in person. And it's just a whole new experience. And talking about in person, so I think hopefully not only we will have a whole new website and set of resources for beginners and a community around it. We actually, so most probably I'll launch that in January. And so there is a in-person session in Richmond next weekend. So this Saturday, 10 a.m. session, I'll be doing from Richmond next week. And then I think 27th, 28th of January. Yeah, so this one is the Richmond session next weekend. January, this 27th, 28th, the session will be in Seattle. And President's Day weekend, the plan is for Bay Area and San Jose area. So, but yeah, so let's open up. It's already top of the hour, but we can have a quick chat. To Luz, Arvindji, anyone wants to share anything? Hi, Luz.
Happy Saturday. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I just wanted to say hello to everyone and thank you again for your wonderful meditation, for the group energy. I wasn't here to observe what your initial talk, but I always appreciate the slides, and I just wanted to point out one thing that kind of made me perk up a little bit, where the slide with the monkey mind tips to help our concentration, help someone. I really liked that, and I wanted to think about that a little bit more, how that could actually translate later into, bringing us to a higher level or helping us to concentrate our mind simply by focusing our attention on somebody else and doing something for their benefit. I really liked that. So thank you.
Yeah, I actually, one of the chapters in his 7-volume book, my grandfather writes that the easiest way to help yourself is to help others. You know, and then he goes on describing how deep the joy is when you help someone, the joy you feel, so his entire, I think one of the tenets is that when you're focused on yourself versus, in trying to help others or share with others, it's a whole different, I think it's a mindset shift. And I was actually watching a PBS documentary on neuroplasticity and how our brain works. And the thing is, like, when you change your behavior, your brain changes too. So it's phenomenal, the effect of how, when you help others, what happens within. And
it's amazing. Yes.
Yeah. And
the brain is not static.
Nope.
Yes.
Yeah, it's it evolves, and definitely, and interestingly, and we have talked about contemplative prayers and other meditation. I mean, all these things actually help your mental health in so many ways. And on an aside, I think, Sandra, you were asking if I traveled to England. Actually, there are lots of people here, especially from the London area. And I was there in April last year. I think we need a better website and a better communication plan, and so on, so on, so on. Hopefully next year will be better. But yeah, I think the plan is to, I don't know where you are in England, but definitely I want to, that was always my wish, that when I go to India, I always take a break in London. There is some activity that is being planned within the Indian community right now, which is in Manchester and Leeds area. But we'll see how it evolves. I think next year, in terms of, I mean, my entire focus for the last few weeks is like, how do we help the beginners? How do we help people? I'm literally, like, when I go, to buy a car, I want to test drive it. So I want to have like this test drive facility. It's like 4 to 5 weeks where you get, absolute attention, white glove service, one of our volunteers, because here, if you practice for a little bit, you become a volunteer, because as I think Luz pointed out, helping others just, is one of the ways you tackle your monkey mind. It's pretty deep, actually. So once we do that, I think the events, where they are, because I think one of the do's and don'ts, like one of the do's is that if you practice this at least once a year, you have to be in person. But because of the distances, I mean, people are here from India, people are here from Europe and UK, and even within US, it can be, so far and wide. So virtual first community, but the intent is that in-person should be integral to this practice, that has been the case and should be the case. And Arvindji, now that you have put your video on, and he's in Bristol. So yeah.
Namaskar, Vijay. Namaskar. Happy Saturday, everybody. Fortunate to be able to join once again. And I was just reminded very briefly of, the selfless service Puji Papaji gives and you give every day. And we're so fortunate. I'm just reminded he set up a homeopathy clinic free clinic for everybody in Jaipur. So many selfless things. I mean, the spirituality that one experiences by joining yourself and the group is something that one cannot describe. So we're fortunate, all of us, to be here. It's like Serengeti Plains or Serengeti in the hot summer when there's a little collection of water. All the animals come, you see. Turtle comes as well. The turtle comes, the lion comes, everybody wants that cool water. And that's the peace you bring. And so thank you.
And I think, Alexis, you joined a little late, I think, but I mean, if you want to, I think we do these sessions every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern and Tuesdays 7 p.m. Eastern. The link remains the same. Shivangi, if you could share the YouTube channel, you could probably replay and meditate with it. Because when I'll be out between Christmas and the 8th of January, I think the sessions will continue, but some of it might be video-based. But Eddie and Arvindji and others will be here, and lots of others will be here. So hopefully the group sessions will continue to provide the, the depth of it's like once I think Arvindji, what you were alluding to is like once you get if there is some kind of thirst that we have, and if that gets addressed, then that's the experience. So once and what I find is like one session may not be enough, but if you come for a few sessions, if you try this for a week or two, I think it can be a complete game changer. The transformation this brings is just phenomenal. But I can go on and on. So Eddie, well, what's the word for today?
I think it's probably important for us to remember that you said the goal of Satsang is to reach that ocean of peace. And the way we do it is by turning inwards. And in turning inwards, we experience, let's just call it the inner world. And that is truth. And that becomes what we've been talking about over the last 2 weeks, I think, or so. And that's what we call the true religion. We experience these things internally, and these are the truths that are real. And in my belief, that is what is truly the true religion. And so in treading that path, we obtain that state where we're in that ultimate peace, or that ocean of peace. And so this is what this practice is actually doing for us. And then we also get these other helpful suggestions on how we should behave in society by helping others, and that'll help us accelerate our progress along our spiritual path. But the ultimate goal is to, or the ultimate action that we should take, is to practice this inner satsang, or this inner meditation, and discover what it is for ourselves. And then that becomes our the true religion, or the true spiritual path and practice.
So Eddie, I wanted to wrap up with your thought, and it's definitely, but it, good thoughts always trigger more good thoughts, I think. And so suddenly I felt that, you're talking about the inner world. The inner world can actually be very like scary, or full of lots of things that shouldn't be there. And this is a cleansing process as well from that perspective. So a lot of times, actually talking about different types of meditation, there are breath works and other meditations where you focus on kindness, you focus on gratitude, you focus on and there is a list of these things. And somehow all these great qualities that you should focus on building within your inside, the satsang concept is that you encapsulate all this good into this concept of transcendental energy, this light, which brings all this within you. So the darkness, or the other, the other slide that I didn't bring up about the monkey mind is like, when you have anger, you have greed, when you have lust, when you have all these other things which are, creating a whole different level of negativity within. How do you counter that? By embodying transcendental energy. How do you, create this phenomenal wealth of positive behaviors? That's through manifesting transcendental energy. So, Eddie, thank you. It's so that's just, when you were speaking, it just came to me that sometimes these are the things that, yes, you can meditate on this, you can meditate on that, and you can meditate on so many positive things. What you meditate on, what you want to manifest, is extremely important for your meditation practice. And so we encapsulate all this into this practice. I think that's the beauty of it. Very simple, very straightforward, but extremely powerful. So, yeah. So, Eddie, you want to add anything to that, or shall we?
No, that was beautifully summed up by you. We should just take that with us through the week, and as we meditate at our homes, remember what we're doing and what we're accomplishing when we focus on that transcendental light, what we're manifesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, good practice for the coming week.
Yeah, through the holidays, let's share the joy. And absolutely. So love, light, and peace in its true form be with you, and we'll see you all pretty soon. So thank you, Cassandra. Thank you, Camilla, and everybody else. We'll see you all soon. Thank you.